Right, so get ready, because today we are going deep into Bethesda Game Studios.
Oh, yeah.
The minds behind some of the biggest, most sprawling RPGs out there.
Absolutely.
Those games that just suck you in, for hours and hours. We're talking Elder Scrolls, Fallout.
Yeah, the games that pretty much define the open world RPG, right?
Exactly. And we've got a ton of material to go through for this deep dive, articles, forum threads, even some leaked design docs. So
Oh, wow.
we're really going to try to figure out what makes Bethesda tick.
What I think is so fascinating about them
Yeah.
is that they don't just do big maps, They've really mastered this whole environmental storytelling thing that just sets them apart.
Okay, yeah, so it's more than just throwing a bunch of quests
Oh, yeah.
on a giant map.
It's not just about size, no.
Yeah, what is it then? What makes their open world design so different?
Well, think about, like, Skyrim, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's got those amazing views, but it's really the little things that make you feel like you're really there. Like, the way those old ruins hint at, like, lost civilizations, or how a sudden snowstorm makes you have to find shelter.
Right, yeah.
Or even just coming across some random event that turns into a whole side quest.
Right.
All those little things add up to make the world feel dynamic. Like it's really reacting to you.
And it feels like they really get that players want freedom, like that ability to choose their own path.
Exactly, yeah.
You're not on rails.
No, not at all.
You're making your own story in the world that they've created.
You're writing your own story, exactly.
Which actually reminds me of another thing Bethesda does so well, the whole modding scene.
Yeah.
It's crazy how they actually want people to mess around with their games.
It's pretty brilliant when you think about it. I mean, they give players all these powerful tools like the creation kit.
Right.
And what that does is it lets those games keep going forever, practically. I mean, look at Skyrim. Still thousands of people playing it, new mods coming out all the time.
Yeah.
It's like the community just keeps breathing new life into the game long after the developers have moved on. It's amazing.
And their fans are so dedicated.
They really are.
I mean, people wait for these games, sometimes like a decade?
Oh, yeah, sometimes more.
Just look at all the hype around Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6.
Exactly. It really shows how much trust Bethesda has built with its players. People know that, even if there might be a few bumps in the road along the way,
Oh, yeah.
they're going to get an experience that's truly special, something they won't forget.
Okay, but we can't talk about Bethesda without addressing the elephant in the room. We got to talk about the bugs.
The infamous Bethesda bugs.
I mean, we've all seen them, those crazy glitches, the physics going haywire.
Yeah.
Characters frozen in weird poses. It's almost like it's become part of their brand.
Yeah, but it's not just about the game engine being old or whatever.
Right.
It's more than that.
What do you mean?
Well, I think it's tied to how much they want the gameplay to be emergent and just the massive scale of their worlds, all these systems working together, so many moving parts. So, of course, you're going to have some hiccups here and there.
So, like, if you build something really complex, something's bound to break.
Exactly. Sometimes those unexpected moments, those glitches,
Yeah.
they actually can make the game more fun.
Yeah, I get that.
Like a glitch could lead to a funny story, or
Right.
you discover something you wouldn't have otherwise. Maybe you even find a whole new way to play.
Yeah,
Of course, that's only if it's not a game-breaking bug.
right, of course. Speaking of game breaking, I think we got to talk about Fallout 76. I mean, that wasn't just a few funny glitches. That was a whole different beast.
Oh, yeah, that was right.
A real disaster.
Yeah, I think Fallout 76 is a good example of how even a studio as big as Bethesda can make mistakes.
Definitely.
Going online only, no NPCs at launch, all the controversy with the microtransactions.
Right.
It just created this perfect storm of negativity.
It really felt like they were sacrificing things that made Fallout great.
Yeah.
The story, the choices, the characters, all for the sake of this multiplayer thing.
Yeah.
That just didn't work.
It really didn't land with a lot of players.
It definitely hurt their reputation, even though they did try to make it better later on.
Yeah, they've been working on it, it's true.
It really showed a disconnect between what the community loved
Yeah,
and what Bethesda thought was important.
absolutely. It seems like Bethesda is at a crossroads now. They've made these amazing, groundbreaking games, but they've also made some choices that, well,
That haven't gone over so well.
that's one way to put it.
Yeah.
The question now is, can they learn from those mistakes?
Yeah.
Can they adapt,
Yeah.
Can they keep up with how fast the industry is changing.
Hmm.
And I guess we'll dig into that in the next part.
We will. Okay, so we've covered like the good and the bad with Bethesda, but what about the future? I mean, they've got Starfield coming out,
Yeah.
which everyone's super hyped about. Is this going to be a big leap forward for them, or could it be like another Fallout 76? What do you think?
Well, Starfield's really interesting because it's their first new IP, in like over 2 decades?
Yeah, that's right.
It's a chance for them to really show off, like prove they can build something totally new,
Right.
but still keep that Bethesda feel
Yeah, okay, but
that we all love.
besides it being a space RPG, what do we actually know about it? Like gameplay-wise, I know we found some stuff in those leaked docs.
Right, right. Well, it looks like they're going even bigger with their open world thing.
Oh,
Like
really?
way bigger. We're talking multiple star systems,
Wow.
customizable spaceships, a huge procedurally generated universe.
Well,
I mean, think about the possibilities.
yeah, it sounds almost too ambitious.
It's definitely a gamble.
Could they be biting off more than they can chew, you think?
It's possible. I mean, making a whole universe that feels real, that's a huge challenge.
Especially one that's supposed to be so massive.
And the expectations are sky high, right?
Oh, for sure.
Everyone wants this next-gen experience, something that, changes how we think about open-world RPGs.
Right.
So if Starfield pulls it off, it could be huge.
But if it doesn't.
It could really set Bethesda back.
Yeah, and we got to talk about the elephant in the room again.
The creation engine.
Yeah. They're still using it for Starfield, which I know worries some people.
Mm.
Can that engine really handle, like, a whole space epic?
That's the big question, isn't it? Bethesda says they've made some big improvements,
Okay.
but we'll have to see how it actually works in the game.
Yeah, I mean, the creation engine, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah, I mean, it lets them do so much. It gives them a ton of flexibility,
Right.
which is how they make these huge open worlds in the first place.
But it also means bugs.
Oh, yeah, it's famous for those.
But they got to prove they can control it
Yeah,
while still, like, using all its power, right?
exactly.
But even if Starfield is amazing, there's still another giant game coming.
Yeah.
The Elder Scrolls VI.
The sequel to maybe the most beloved RPG ever.
Right.
I mean, the pressure on Bethesda to make something that lives up to Skyrim.
It must be immense.
Huge.
Yeah. And they're not exactly known for, quick turnarounds.
They take their time.
People have been waiting for any news about Elder Scrolls VI for years.
It's been a while.
The hype is unreal.
Oh, yeah. And it's interesting, thinking about how much the gaming landscape has changed since Skyrim.
Yeah, that's true.
We've had some incredible RPGs lately.
Okay.
The Witcher 3, Baldur's Gate 3.
Right.
They've really raised the bar for, storytelling, graphics, the whole package.
So Bethesda can't just keep doing the same old thing.
Yeah, they got to step it up.
They need to show they can evolve,
And innovate.
but still, hold on to what made the Elder Scrolls so great.
Definitely.
Okay.
What's cool is it seems like Bethesda knows this.
Oh, really?
They've been talking about using new tech, things like photogrammetry, to make the environments more realistic, and they've hinted that Elder Scrolls the 6 might be more story-focused,
Interesting.
really focused on the narrative.
So they're trying to kind of balance pushing the boundaries of open world design with making a more polished, refined experience.
Yeah, seems like it.
But there's something else to think about, too.
What's that?
Monetization. I mean, after Fallout 76, people are really wary of microtransactions and all that.
Yeah, that's a big issue now.
Yeah. Bethesda has to be careful there.
They can't afford another mistake like that.
Definitely not. So how do they handle all this? Can they recapture that magic, from their older games, but also keep up with how the industry's changing?
Well, one thing's for sure. Everyone will be watching to see what they do. It's a big moment for Bethesda.
Yeah.
Their decisions now are going to have a huge impact on their future.
So we've really gone deep into the world of Bethesda Game Studios, haven't we?
Yeah, we've seen it all.
We've climbed the mountains of Skyrim,
Explore the wasteland.
been amazed by their ambition,
Definitely.
laughed at those crazy glitches,
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of those.
and maybe even gotten a little frustrated with some of their decisions.
I mean, they've had some rough patches, that's for sure.
But no matter what, there's one thing you can't deny.
What's that?
Bethesda just knows how to make worlds that stay with you long after you stop playing.
They really do. What always gets me is how they create that sense of place so well.
Yeah.
Like, think about Fallout 3, right?
Yeah.
That eerie but kind of beautiful, destroyed Washington, D.C., or the volcanic ashlands of Morrowind, so oppressive. Or even, those rolling hills in Oblivion, almost comforting.
Right.
They're worlds you can get lost in, and I mean that in every sense.
And it's not just what you see, is it?
No, not at all.
It's like the lore, the history, all those little details that make those worlds feel real, like they've actually been lived in.
Exactly, like finding a dusty old journal in some forgotten corner of a dungeon.
Yep.
And suddenly you're piecing together the story of some adventurer who died centuries ago.
Right.
It's that kind of storytelling, that really immersive stuff, that's what makes Bethesda special.
It's like they understand that a good world isn't just about quests and locations.
Yeah, it's got to be more than that.
It's got to have history, mystery.
You got to feel like it existed before you got there.
Right, and that it'll keep existing after you're gone.
Exactly.
And you can't forget about the community they've built up around these games.
Oh, it's massive.
I mean, all the fan art, the forums, the mods.
It's incredible.
It's like their games become more than just games.
They're cultural events, almost.
Yeah, and that's got to be because of how open-ended they are, right?
Definitely. By letting players kind of shape their own experience, tell their own stories in those worlds, Bethesda's done something really special.
Yeah.
Their games become almost like canvases for people's creativity.
Okay, so with all that said, what does the future hold for Bethesda? Can they keep, like, that spark, that ambition,
It's a good question, especially with how fast the gaming industry is changing.
Right.
The pressure to come up with new stuff, it's huge.
Yeah.
But I do think Bethesda can adapt. I mean, they've always been willing to try new things, take risks, even if it doesn't always work out.
And they know they need to improve, right?
Yeah.
Like Fallout 76, that was a big lesson for them.
Definitely a wake-up call.
Even a studio like Bethesda can make mistakes.
It happens.
But the good thing is, it seems like they're actually listening.
Yeah, that's important.
You're talking about being more careful, focusing on quality.
Which is what everyone wants, really.
Plus, let's be honest, wouldn't it be kind of boring if they just kept making the same game over and over?
True.
It's more exciting not knowing what they'll do next.
Yeah, like what crazy new worlds they'll come up with.
Exactly. Whether it's space in Starfield or back to Tamriel and Elder Scrolls The Sixth.
They always keep us guessing.
And that's what I love about them. I mean, we don't know what the future holds for Bethesda.
No, we don't.
But it's going to be fun to watch.
For sure. They've made their mark on gaming history, no doubt about it.
They really have.
So I can't wait to see what they do next.
Well, there you have it. We've explored the good, the bad, and everything in between when it comes to Bethesda Game Studios.
We've covered a lot of ground.
From their incredible open worlds to those memorable glitches.
It's been quite the journey.
We've talked about their triumphs, their missteps, and what might be coming next.
And who knows what their legacy will be.
That's for the future to decide. Thanks for joining us on The Deep